that people were disheartened by the terror that was rained upon them. And it was this same emperor that Guru Nanak Dev Ji called a tyrant to his face and admonished him for his cruelty and challenged him to live his life in a more righteous and honest way. Guru Nanak Dev Ji travelled extensively to the religious and intellectual centres of the time, from Tibet and Sri Lanka to Saudi Arabia, and even, it is said, to the Vatican, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji shared this divine message, the core values that are still held by Sikhs today. Returning, he established a city dedicated to the divine, to this message, Kartarpur. And this was built on the core principles that every Sikh will know. Kirat karo, naam japo, and vanshako. Kirat karo. Work hard and honestly. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're dedicating yourself, whatever your role or responsibility in life is, take personal responsibility to try your best, to live it honestly, to give your 110%, whether you are working in the NHS, as I do, or in the police service, or in some charitable cause. Give 110% in whatever you do. Live and participate in life actively. Naam japo, meditate. Reflect on the divinity within yourself and reflect on your engagement of the divinity without. This was about seeing the world as part of one global family, not being discriminatory towards people of different backgrounds or different class or different identities. And Naam Japo Waheguru, Vanshako, share what you have, whether it's time, skills, opportunities, organization, whatever you can give to transform the world around you. Give it selflessly and observe the transformation that takes place within yourself. Again, many of the Sikh officers that I've spoken to speak of these values of Vanshako, sharing the service that you have, sharing the knowledge that you have. And these form the bedrock of the Khalsa ethos. They transcend boundaries of religion, culture, age, gender, and time. If we think about these values today, I don't think anyone here would disagree with those qualities to applying those philosophies in their lives. Another core theme within the Sikh ethos is Sarbat da Pala. Every day Sikhs around the world, in our ardas, our supplicatory prayer, we will say, Nanak Naam, Chardi Kala, Tere Pane, Sarbat da Pala. Guru Nanak Dev Ji reflects that through Naam, connecting with the divine, comes well-being, happiness, and a positive spirit. And with your blessings, Waheguru, may everyone in the world prosper and be at peace. So Sikhs, in their core, speak for world and humanity. They speak for the benefit of everyone, and not just our community. And at the heart of this is a compassion for all people, for all plants and animals. The Khalsa holds welfare of all as important as the welfare of itself, and takes personal responsibility again to ensure the rights and well-beings of all others are protected. And this links to the idea of seva. And I noticed my brothers and sisters from Langar Seva were here, and I think the fantastic work that's being done by the Sikh community is exemplary of that ingrained and rooted desire to serve all humanity. And this is something that we as a community are very proud of. I come from Leicester, and a study was done some years ago, and they looked at all the communities and their contributions towards society. And it's always a proud thing to say that the Sikhs punched well above their weight per capita in how much they gave to society. And I think those values are, again, something we find within the police service. The Gurus were very much about walking the walk, and another monumentous aspect of the Sikh ethos was founded by Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, the 9th Guru. It's unparalleled in the history of world faiths for the leader of a major world tradition to give their life for the liberty and freedom of another community. But this was precisely what Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji did. He stood up to the tyranny of Aurangzeb, the tyranny of the emperor of that time, and spoke for universal freedoms, the freedom to practice religion, just as officers who are in the West Midlands Police, East Midlands Police, and police services across the board want to retain their sense of identity and their religious practice and freedom, as with every other faith tradition. Having that sense of freedom, being able to do that, was something that the Gurus championed themselves. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji declared, when he created the Khalsa nation, that the nation of the Khalsa would uproot tyranny and injustice. The Khalsa was born in Vaisakhi of 1699. Sikhs were given a clear uniform, an identity, a code of conduct, and a mission. And actually, if we look at the values that we see in our society today, the values that the police force stand for, there is such connectivity between these two. I'm going to reflect on what is known as the Sikh national anthem. It's a beautiful and powerful shabd. And it emphasizes that desire. And I love the fact that in the National Sikh Police Association logo, you've actually taken a portion of this shabd. Shubh karmante kabhu na duro. May I never refrain from doing good and righteous deeds. And I think that speaks very much to the values by which Sikhs stand for. I know my sister Preet is standing here, and she is working very hard to challenge the injustices that are felt by our community and the issues that are being raised. There are so many people here who work dedicatedly from the Sikh community and beyond to enforce that sense of value, that sense of justice and righteousness. And this is at the heart again of Sikh values and at the centre of Sikh living. Now, I took this next slide from actually the decision-making model for policing, and I reflected on, it's not actually playing. Has it not been playing the whole way through? Crikey.
I can see it.
When technology fails. Anyway, so the police decision-making conduct puts its code of conduct at the centre of all things that we do. At every point in life, at every point of being a police officer, your code of ethics fits in with everything that you do. For Sikhs, the Guru is at the centre of all things. So for us, our values are taken from the Guru and the Gurmat, the Guru's teachings. And for a Sikh, those values are imbued in all aspects of our life. And for a police officer, it is the code of conduct. And so when we're talking about the Sikh ethos and police values, I thought it would be helpful to reflect upon some of the code of conducts and values by which the police service operates. And actually, reading through them, I was surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised, to be honest. They're very much values that I share and believe in. And I'm going to share some of them with you and reflect on this yourself. These are things that every Sikh will feel very at home living. I will be honest and act with integrity at all times, and will not compromise or abuse my position. Acting with a sense of integrity at the heart of everything you do are the values and ethics of how you live and operate. I will act with self-control and tolerance, treating members of the public and colleagues with respect and courtesy. One of the great hot topics of today, of this time now, is the Gurban issue. And if we see the Gurban as an offensive weapon, as a knife, then we will seek to criminalise it. But that truly doesn't understand what a Gurban symbolises. A Sikh carries a Gurban with that sense of respect, self-control and tolerance. That this Gurban is there to protect the lives of the innocent and the oppressed. It is to stand up for the rights of those who are in need. It is not there to cause tyranny. And this is something, again, that Sikhs feel very strongly for. Because to understand us, you have to understand the values of our Gagad, of our identity, what our dastan, our turban means to us. But again, it's a value that both the police service and Sikh community share. Acting with self-control and tolerance, treating members of the public and colleagues with respect and courtesy. And that's one thing I always think to myself, actually. Respect and courtesy is the bedrock of a respectful and cohesive society. I will use my powers and authority lawfully and proportionately, and will respect the rights of all individuals. Going back to the Mool Mantar, we recognise the divinity within ourselves, and we recognise the divinity in all others. This is the bedrock of that philosophy. I will act with fairness and impartiality. I will not discriminate unlawfully or unfairly. I will behave in a manner, whether on duty or off, which does not bring discredit onto the police service or undermine public confidence in policing. One of the things as a Amritdhari Sikh, I am conscious I have an identity. If I behave in a way that would bring disrespect to my faith and my Guru, it is something that I'm reminded that I have a code of conduct and ethic by which I live, and I'm identifiable and so held accountable and responsible for my actions, just as every police officer seeks to make sure that they respect the uniform that they wear. I will report, challenge or take action against the conduct of colleagues which has fallen below the standards of professional behaviour, and that sense of self-reflection, of working together with your colleagues to maintain a standard. And I think that sense of Khalsa community is again something that we share. We have so much in common. Next slide. Just click on the slide. It would have been wonderful if it was on the screen there. It would make my life a lot easier. But anyhow, that one. Police have a duty to act when they see something illegal. Sikhs have a duty to act when we see an injustice. Sikhs have a uniform, and so does the police service. Sikhs are held accountable to their guru. Police officers are accountable to the structures of command. The police are bound to enforce the law, but the Sikhs are bound to challenge injustice, even if it's injustice enshrined in law. A police officer has a duty to uphold the law and standards of conduct at all times, and the duty of the Khalsa is to live up to the Khalsa ethics at all times. And these, if we look at those parallels, there is such similarity, that sense of duty, that sense of responsibility, having a sense of uniform and identity. Now, looking forward, I hope that this will be a chance for the Sikh community and the police service to build a stronger relationship. I think it's really important, especially now, for the Sikh community to have confidence in the police force, so that we can feel empowered to work together, to build trust as the cornerstone of this relationship, ensure that there are clear channels of communication, but also a clear sense of accountability. We should encourage recruitment from the Sikh community and wider diverse communities, because the police service should look like the communities it serves. Every community should look to the forces and see that they too do belong. It's been a great source of pride to see so many dedicated and successful police officers serving around the country faithfully and tirelessly to ensure that every day we can sleep sound at home, knowing that there is a police service out there to protect our needs, to support us in the worst circumstances. And this is something I hope that continues to grow. Sikhs have served in police forces around the world and have been known to carry out their duties diligently and with dedication. I would really like to see from this day an establishment of Sikh presence at the highest levels of policing. With all professions and fields, it would be a wonderful thing to see Sikh officers serving in the highest positions of authority, serving as role models to the community, to aspiring Sikh police officers, that there is no glass ceiling for you. And through hard work and dedication, you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. And that for me is a vision and challenge to the police. And I hope this is something that the police service will take on enthusiastically, to invest in the future leaders tomorrow, to invest in the talent, to create opportunity, to recognize that each community has a gift to give and nourishing that community. Developing greater understanding. I view the relationship with the Sikh community and the police as that of critical friends, in that we have seen that we have many shared values at the heart of all we stand for. But only through investing in this relationship can we be further empowered to have many more fruitful conversations. And lastly, let today be a marker to build a better future together. May we look at this day and see the leaps and bounds of progress that we have made together. And I give my commendation to the staff, the Sikh officers, the police associations, and all those volunteers and Sevadars who have given tirelessly to make this vision a reality. May Waheguru keep you in Chardi Kala. May you continue to work tirelessly and serve selflessly in all that you do. And I wish you all the best, and I look forward to working on and seeing this relationship develop. Thank you very much. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Tammy's also part of the West Midlands Police Sikh Association, one of the significant parties involved with the West Midlands Sikh Police Association and the National Sikh Police Association. What else would you like me to say, Tam?
The Khalsa, Saint Soldiers, the Army of the Pure, as created by the 10th Master, belongs to Waheguru, and the victory is always Waheguru's. Now that's the Sikh's greeting, which is quite important for a Sikh. It's very humbling, because when a Sikh does something, we don't say that I've done this. So this setup here isn't as a result of me as an individual or our team doing it. It's with the grace of the Almighty. And with that greeting, it always reminds us to stay humble. So it's more than greeting. Okay. So as the Vice Chair of the West Midlands Police Sikh Association and also a key member of the National Setup, I'd like to thank you all for taking your time out, your precious time, to be here at the launch of the national body. So what does that mean? So setting up of a national association, how is the community going to benefit and how is the police going to benefit? In order to demonstrate that, what I'll be doing is doing a case study of the West Midlands Police Sikh Association. So you can get a grasp of what's been done at a local level here and what we intend to do on a national basis, but also, so what we'll be doing it on a large scale, right? And all we ask is that for those from the other those that are here present from other forces, to support your colleagues when they come knock on your doors. You will know what to expect and to support them. So, yeah, before I start very quickly, can I just take this opportunity to thank the Sikh channel and Sangat TV who are actually coming here, who will be recording as well. So this message, the message that we're giving out today, will be going out internationally to the Sikh community at large as well. So again, for them to see the presence here in this room is quite encouraging for the Sikh community to know that the authorities do understand us and are willing to work with us as well. Okay, very quickly, sorry, apologies. So one thing you might be thinking, so what are we going to gain from this police force? Sorry, from this police association? And there might be some things in your head thinking, actually, what are the changes going to be? The changes aren't this. Right? So what we're thinking is, right, we won't be asking for a change of uniform, right? So we're not going to be asking for khaki uniforms, colourful turbans, and a 6-foot bamboo stick. We're asking for that. Not yet, anyway. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So when we join jobs, we like putting the little hashtag. I want to go the extra mile. We all say that. I remember putting it in my application when I joined the force as well. But what does it actually mean by going the extra mile? Police officers, regardless of which faith you're from, police officers in general go the extra mile every single day. When you're not getting your lunch, when you're finishing late, you've gone the extra mile. And that's a credit to the police officers. Sometimes the community can't see that, but we know how it is, right? And it's all the services as well, not just the police as well. The extra mile definitely does, the extra mile and a bit more as well. It's always the case. So for the community that's listening out there, do support us, because it's not the most easiest job at all. So since we started in 2013, there's been a number of projects that we've been doing. I'm quite proud of. I think one of the worst things that we've done is we don't really promote it as much, and maybe that's a humbling factor from being a Sikh, where the most important thing for us is that things are getting done. It's not about taking credit for look what we're doing. What we want the community to feel empowered and just crack on. If you know something needs to be done, we don't need the go ahead from people. So we don't need to always go to our so-called leaders and say, I'd like to do this. Just crack on with it. And that's the message to the community really as well. If you know there's some issues in the community that needs addressing, set up your projects and just work with them. So one of the things we did, we listened to the community, and the community at the time in 2013, child sex exploitation was a big factor. And we usually get the whole thing about the police aren't doing anything. So what we did was in 2014, we put on an event at the Warsaw campus of Wolverhampton University to talk about this, and we have professionals that actually work in those fields come in and talk to the community about what the police actually do. We all know that we can't actually go into find the details of every case and inform the community about that, but there are results. So I think Deb Gold should be here today as well from CPS, who actually did a talk about about a work stream that she did as well, and it's with the help of the community that we can actually counter the issues that we come across. The associations have been quite involved with recruitment as well. We've gone on a number of Sikh channels to promote recruitment, as you can see in the picture on the bottom right. But also we've actually had a presence at Menin Gate as well. So we took some officers from the West Midlands to Menin Gate, and we had the privilege of actually being part of the ceremony to remember those that fell during the First World War. So the first one was going the extra mile and a little further. That's what we do as an association. We don't just go the extra mile, we like to go that little bit further. And what we do is we base it on the community, because the main thing for the community to understand is, I am the community, I am the Sikh community. The officers that are here are the community. We're not separate from the Sikh community, we are the community. So when we're doing projects, it's projects that affect us close at home as well. So my wife isn't a police officer, she's the wife of a police officer, but she's still the community. You get my gist? Okay, so the way I've often commented here to a number of people, me being a police officer alone, we do the best we can in the community. However, for the Sikh community to benefit from a Sikh officer, the Sikh officer has to play a role. Otherwise, if I don't go the extra mile as a Sikh officer, I'm just a police officer to the community. So it's about what can we do, and we're aware about awareness internally as well. So a lot of our focus has been external, but we've done a number of things internally as well. And one was about the awareness of the Sikh faith. What does it actually mean? And we've put on 2 events, and the events were about issues that are in the community, about interfaith marriages, and about Satgar for the Guru Granth Sahib, which is a respect for the Guru Granth Sahib, which we raised as well. Because because sometimes you can read a footnote or read some literature, you don't really get the grasp. What we wanted to allow our officers to actually feel the presence and understand it on a physical level. So what we did was we put on 2 events after Gurdwara and brought officers present so they can actually experience what it feels to be a Sikh, but also about the sentiments around some of the issues we have the protests that take place. Why do Sikhs protest? Protest is a big factor of Sikh. And the first Sikh protester was Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Because when they saw injustice, they protested. And that's the nature of the Sikh. But why do we, and how do we manage that? So, regards to Guru Granth Sahib Ji, to a non-Sikh, it might be just seen as a book. It's not a book. It's not something you stick under your arm. A religious person walks into a room and he opens it and starts reading it. There's a whole ceremony involved. The top picture, the top left, shows that ceremony. So we want, the response we got from the officers was immense, because they actually understood how Sikh sentiments are hurt when it comes to the scriptures. But that's our duty as police officers, to be doing that, educating our own. But it's also looking at issues that are in the community. Now, when I was a neighbour officer in Handsworth, there were a number of gold thefts taking place. So what we would do is, as soon as we saw somebody with a gold chain, we would approach them and say, could you please conceal it? There's an issue with robberies here. But there's only so much you can do, because those that realise the aunties like to put on a bit of a display, and it's like, who are you to tell me this? I remember one instance where I approached this elderly lady and I said, Auntie, could you just make that discreet? And she goes, okay. And she moved her sari up the way, and she had 3 more chains underneath. So I thought, so we need to be doing something different. So what we did was we worked alongside the comms team, and we said we need something that's impactful on the community, and they get the message. And it was seen that we can't show something too gruesome, because otherwise it's a bit of put off. We're like, the community will only understand it in that way. So that's just a leaflet. But however, on YouTube there's a video which we created with the comms team, which shows a robbery taking place of a female walking with her chain, and the message was translated in 3 languages, telling people to conceal your items, to be conscious when you're out there. And the beauty about the Punjabi language, the language of the 5 rivers, is the fact that it's spoken and understood by the most of the Indian subcontinent, but also across faiths. So you have Hindus, Muslims, and you have Sikhs who understand the Punjabi language. So when we produced that short video about awareness around the gold, it wasn't just for the Sikh community, it was cross-board. And I'm thankful for the channels that actually played it during the summertime. So that's when it tends to happen. So the channels usually play that video just to reinforce the message every summer.